Have you ever had a nightmare so real that you woke up screaming, only to realize the nightmare didn't end when you opened your eyes? Imagine a dream so powerful, so alive, that it tears through the walls of sleep and drags itself into the real world. That's what happened to Mia. Her nightmare didn't just haunt her, it rewrote reality. The rain fell like broken glass against the window. Mia sat in her small apartment, the flickering light from the TV casting shadows that danced across the walls. Her reflection in the dark screen looked hollow, drained. For weeks she hadn't slept properly. Every time she closed her eyes, the same dream came back. A place she didn't recognize, a face she couldn't forget, and a scream that never stopped echoing. It started after her mother's funeral. The night she came home from the cemetery, she dreamed of a forest drenched in blue mist. There was a narrow dirt path, and at the end of it, a wooden cabin with one light glowing inside. A woman stood in the doorway, tall, thin, and dressed in white. She didn't speak, but her eyes seemed to plead for help. When Mia tried to move closer, her feet sank into the ground, and the world around her began to melt, twisting into shapes that made no sense. Then she would wake up drenched in sweat, heart pounding as if she had truly run for her life. At first, she told herself it was grief, the mind playing tricks, trying to process loss. But the dreams didn't fade. They grew stronger, more detailed, more real. Soon the smell of damp earth and pine stayed in her nostrils even after she woke. She could swear she saw footprints leading from her bed to the door, muddy and human. One night the nightmare changed. When she entered the misty forest, she could hear whispers, hundreds of them, calling her name. Mia, Mia. Their voices came from all around, men, women, children, all whispering at once. Then, out of the fog, she saw her mother. Her mother's face was calm, but her eyes were different, black, endless. "You shouldn't have come here," she whispered. "You opened the door." Mia woke screaming, clutching her blanket like it was a lifeline. Her clock said 3:03 a.m., the same time she woke every night, the same minute the nightmare always ended. The next day at work, she could barely focus. Files, emails, voices, everything blurred. Her friend Jasmine noticed. "You look awful," she said softly. "Are you still having those dreams?" Mia nodded. "It's like they're leaking into the real world." Jasmine frowned. "Maybe you should see someone." "A therapist?" "I did. 3 of them. They all said the same thing. Trauma, stress, medication. But none of it helps." That night, she decided to record her sleep. She set up her phone by the bed, camera facing her. She told herself it was stupid, but she needed proof that something was happening. When she woke at 3:03 a.m., gasping, she immediately checked the video. For a while, everything was normal, tossing, turning. But then the frame flickered. A dark shape appeared at the edge of the bed. It leaned closer, slow and deliberate, until the camera glitched. When the image cleared, the shape was gone. Her pulse raced as she replayed it again and again. The shape looked like a woman, dressed in white. She stopped sleeping after that. Every sound in her apartment made her flinch. Every reflection, the mirror, the window, even her phone screen, seemed to hide movement just out of focus. She covered the mirrors, unplugged the TV, and still felt eyes on her. 3 nights later, she couldn't take it anymore. She drove out of the city, heading nowhere. The highway stretched under the moonlight like a silver vein through darkness. Eventually, she found herself near the woods, the same kind she saw in her dreams. The trees were tall and old, their branches twisting together like hands. Something in her chest tightened. She should have turned back, but she didn't. She parked the car and stepped into the forest. The air was cold, heavy with silence. Every crunch of leaves beneath her feet echoed like thunder. She didn't know what she was looking for. Maybe proof, maybe closure. But then she saw it, a faint light glimmering through the trees. The cabin. The same one from her dreams. She froze. Her hands trembled. The door stood slightly open, and that same soft yellow light spilled out. It flickered, like a candle fighting the wind. Mia. Her breath caught. Someone had whispered her name again. She stepped closer. The light inside grew brighter, warmer. And then, from the doorway, the woman in white appeared. Her face was pale, her eyes empty. "You shouldn't have come here," she said again. Mia tried to speak, but her voice wouldn't come out. The woman raised her hand. "Now it's real." A loud crack split the air. The ground shook beneath Mia's feet. The trees began to bend unnaturally, their branches stretching toward her. The cabin walls started to ripple like a reflection in water. The forest twisted and folded in on itself, and then darkness. When she woke, she was back in her apartment. The morning sun was filtering through the blinds. For a second, she almost believed it had been a dream, until she saw the dirt on her feet. The same damp mud from the forest. Her phone buzzed. It was a message from Jasmine. "Hey, where were you last night?" "I called. You sounded strange." Mia frowned. She didn't remember answering. She checked her call log. There it was, a 10-minute call at 3:03 a.m. She played the recording. The voice that answered wasn't hers. It was soft, distant, like someone speaking through water. "She's awake now," it said. "She's here." Mia dropped the phone. Her reflection in the dark TV screen smiled back at her, but her face didn't move. For the next few days, reality began to crumble around her. Objects shifted when she looked away. Her apartment layout seemed to change slightly every morning. The kitchen on the wrong side, the windows taller, the walls narrower. Sometimes she'd catch herself standing in places she didn't remember walking to. And every night, 3 a.m. came, she'd wake to find her reflection watching her, smiling that wrong, too wide smile. One night, she decided to end it. She smashed every mirror, every reflective surface in the apartment. She unplugged her phone, turned off all the lights, and sat in the dark, whispering to herself, "It's not real. It's not real." Then came the knock on the door. 3 soft taps. She froze. The knock came again, and then her own voice from the other side. "Mia, let me in." Her throat went dry. She backed away. The voice was hers, but twisted deeper. "I know you're awake. Let me in." The doorknob began to turn on its own. She screamed and ran to the bathroom, locking herself inside. Her heart hammered so hard it hurt. She slid down against the wall, trembling. Silence. Then, a faint whisper right behind her ear. "You already let me in." The lights flickered. The reflection in the cracked mirror behind her began to move. It smiled, the same too wide, wrong smile, and reached out from the glass. The mirror shattered. She didn't remember what happened next. Days passed, maybe weeks. When Jasmine came by, the door was unlocked. The apartment looked the same, but off. The air thick, the shadows too deep. Mia sat on the floor, staring at the blank TV screen. "Mia," Jasmine whispered. Slowly, Mia turned. Her face looked calm, too calm. Her eyes glowed faintly in the dim light. "You shouldn't have come here," she said. Jasmine backed away, shaking her head. "Mia, what are you?" The TV flickered to life. On the screen, Jasmine saw the forest, the cabin, the woman in white, and then herself, standing where Mia once stood. Her scream never made it out the door. Since that night, no one has seen either of them. But neighbors sometimes hear voices from inside the apartment around 3:03 a.m. 2 women talking, sometimes laughing, sometimes whispering. And if you walk by that building, you might see a faint light flickering through the window. If you look closely, you'll notice 2 shadows sitting side by side. One of them turns and smiles. People say nightmares end when you wake up. But for Mia, waking up was the beginning, because once she broke reality, there was no going back. If you think nightmares are just stories your mind tells in the dark, think again. Some dreams don't end when you wake up, they follow you home. If this story sent chills down your spine, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Because next time, the nightmare might not be hers. It might be yours.